Hello students, I am Narendra Kaur and in this video I am going to take up the advanced writing skills for class 11th and 12th. We will be learning today how to write a speech. The question is, what is a speech? A speech is a formal talk or a public discourse that a person delivers to an audience. It is an effective way of conveying a message to a large audience. It is one of the way of spreading awareness regarding social issues or giving information regarding other important issues. So remember students, when you are writing a speech, you must remember that you have to address an audience and you have a particular target in your mind, the audience, and the reason for delivering a speech is to create awareness or maybe giving some information. Now, coming to the marking scheme, the question for writing a speech in your paper is for 10 marks and it should be written in about 150 to 200 words. The division of the marks is further given. As it is given, you can see the very first thing is the format. Format is for 1 mark. This 1 mark includes the opening address and the conclusion. The opening address simply means you have to introduce yourself and the topic, and you have to make a salutation to the audience. Then comes the 5 marks. These are the most important marks for the content. And then we have how the content has been expressed. So 4 marks are for your expression. These are further divided into 2 parts. The first part is grammatical accuracy, appropriate words and spelling, and the second part is coherence. Both grammatical accuracy, coherence, and relevance of idea and style, they are for 2 marks each. So this is the further division of marks. It is 10 marks question. There are different components of a speech. Now, when we have to write a speech, you should remember that it should have an introduction. And the introduction needs to be really very attractive. Now, the introduction is presentation of the topic, the salutation. Another thing, students, you must remember that you have to introduce yourself as per the details given in the question. So whatever the question details are given regarding your name, your place or other things, you have to stick to it. So introduce yourself in a proper and a befitting manner. Then comes the body. The body is the main part of the speech. And in this particular place, we have to elaborate the topic. Now, what does elaboration of topic mean? Elaboration of topic simply means that we have to talk about all aspects of the topic. We can talk about, for example, advantages. We can talk about disadvantages, all the facts and figures which are relevant to our topic, they need to be mentioned. Then, if the topic is having certain reasons, whether there are consequences, and there are other points as well. So, these are the main content points on which you have to concentrate, and this forms the body of the letter. Now, after body of the letter, where you have presented all your content points, you have to sum up. Now, when you are summing up, remember, since you have elaborated a problem, you have to mention steps to be taken to improvise a situation as well as suggest a few solutions if you have. And these solutions are really important because the suggestions and the solutions that you provide to a particular topic on which you are speaking are going to fetch you marks. So this is another thing. Now, ultimately, the fourth component of the speech, that is the conclusion. Now, how you will highlight once you have talked about the suggestions and the solutions, in conclusions, you always conclude your speech especially thanking the audience for their cooperation and their patience. So these are the four main points of or main components of speech: the introduction, the body, the summing up, and ultimately the conclusion. Once we know the components of the speech, we move the plan for writing a speech. Now, how you have to plan writing a speech. The very first thing is that you have to brainstorm yourself. Brainstorming is the most important point. That is, the ideas need to be collected. Then try to find the answers of these questions: who, what, how, why, and where. The very first question is, who is the speech for? Whether the speech is for students, whether the speech is for members of a club, whether the speech, whether the speech is for the villagers, who is the target to whom you are talking? And then you have to answer to the question, what? Basically, what you are going to tell your audience, and especially all the points which are relevant to the topic. Not only they are relevant, but they are interesting as well. Now coming to the next question is, how long the speech should be? The speech is expected to be not very long. It has to be written in 150 to 200 words. And remember, it must catch the attention of the audience. Another question that you have to answer yourself and write for that: why are you writing? Are you writing for creating awareness or some other purpose? And ultimately, where the speech is going to happen: in the school, in the club, in the village, or any other place. Now, the very first point, that is brainstorming. That is brainstorm. This is the most important point. Now, what is brainstorming and how do we brainstorm for ideas? I'll be taking up by giving you simply an ideas on dowry. If you have to deliver a speech on, let it be, dowry, the moment this word comes into your mind, there are certain things which strikes your brain. For example, you can think about, it is a gift that is given by the parents to the daughter. Maybe it is a custom. However, you will be reminded that it is also given because of the greed of the parents of the boy family or the boy itself. But it causes very death. It causes suicide. It should be really punished properly. Not only suicides and deaths are there, there are unhappy marriages, and definitely they should be banned. The moment ideas come in your mind, start jotting them and make a kind of web chart that is there. So when all these ideas have been jotted down by you in the rough space in your mind, then comes the next part, and that is you have to write following the system of coder. Now, coder is very simple. Coder simply means collecting the ideas. Once you have collected the ideas, these ideas needed to be organized and in a logical manner. Once the ideas have been organized, like introduction should be there, then you have to tell the reasons, then you have to tell the solutions. Ultimately, you will develop them into different paragraphs, and then you will edit whatever mistakes are there, whatever are left out, and then you will revise and rewrite. So once you have planned your speech, you have brain washed yourself, brainstorming has been there, and you have collected the ideas, the writing part comes. And in the writing part, remember to follow coder. What are the characteristics of a good speech? Now you have brainstormed yourself, you know what are the different components. And now when you are writing the components, you must remember, students, that it must have the capacity to keep the audience spellbound with the proper choice of words, expressions, and examples. At the same time, care should be taken not to deviate from the main subject. Very important, this main subject. What is your main subject? You must remember. Don't deviate from that topic. And in the instructions, in the rubrics of the question, you will find what you have to write. Now, when you are writing a speech, remember it is important to note that the written speech should consist of small sentences having not more than 10 to 12 words in a sentence. Because the longer the sentences, the more confusing it becomes at times for the audience to understand. You must keep in mind that it is a speech and you need to begin at the draft with addressing your audience. The conclusion should also be a sentence thanking your audience for their patient listening. So now it is very clear the characteristics of a good speech is a good introduction, the body, and then ultimately the conclusion. So when you are writing, there are many points, there are many things that you must remember. The very first thing is read the question carefully. Why? The question has to be read carefully because lot many things are given in the question itself. Then, if a data is given, you have to interpret the data that has been provided to you. Don't lose your focus. So, focus on the issue that needs to be addressed. Your focus should be on the topic, on the issue on which you are writing the speech. Use the conversational style. Now, what is this conversational style? It means that it should indicate the paper is being checked, your speech is being read by somebody, but it should be indicated that it is in a conversational style. Then greet your audience and introduce the topic you are speaking on. Introduction part of the speech is the most important part. Therefore, it is that part which decides the fate of the speech. That means whether the audience is attracted towards you or not. Now, when we are writing a speech, this is a question, this is a problem where the students they keep on asking, should we give a title or not? We should not give a title for the speech that we are writing. Why? Because the title is given there with your name in the introduction itself. Keep in mind the occasion of the speech and the nature of the audience. Remember, introduction should not be very lengthy because if the introduction becomes lengthy, the speech becomes boring and your content points starts missing out. The main topic should be taken up as quickly as possible. We must use examples, very concrete terms and which are tangible. Avoid abstract phrases which are quite vague. Very simple and familiar language should be used because you have to convey your message, you have to convey your words. Further, since it is in the writing, the effects such as raising one's voice, giving stress to certain words, pausing for a short time, can be represented in a written speech by using some techniques. Few techniques are increasing the size of the letters of the sentence to be stressed or using all capitals for a particular word to be emphasized. Maybe leaving a few dots after the question to indicate a pause. And at times you can even underline, double underline for stressing and emphasizing certain things. Always use argumentative style and logical reasoning. Bank up arguments with information which is relevant. Then some powerful expressions can be used like I like to argue, in my opinion, may I ask. These are few, the list can go on. Then we have the conclusion. Just like introduction is important, even the conclusion is important. Conclusion plays very important role. We should remember Shakespeare's advice that brevity is the soul of wit. So you have to give your own conclusion on the topic in a good manner. A powerful quotation or a line from a beautiful poem which can summarize your viewpoint can also be used. Definitely don't forget to say and write thank you. Remember, this word thank you is going to fetch you marks for the format. So the word thank you, these are two words, but they will fetch you marks. And this is the thank you word indicates the conclusion. Don't use slangs. Students are in a habit of using slangs, so don't use slangs. And definitely repetition is not a good thing. Repetition of facts or figures, or it can be the repetition of the ideas. Same idea should not be repeated. You have 150 to 200 words. So if you are repeating the same facts and figures, the same ideas, the same language, it is not going to fetch you good marks. So these are some of the points that you must remember. Now here is an example of a question. Now the moment you get this question, what things should be clear? Just like I said, read the question very carefully. So what have you done? You have to see who are you. You are a student volunteer. Name is not given, so you will not disclose your own name. And who are you? You are a student volunteer of National Literacy Mission. The school is involved in adult literacy campaign. This is, and the campaign is titled as Each One Teach One. So directly or indirectly, this is the topic of your speech. Each one teach one. So when you are reading the question, you have to be careful. Then remember what is given. Write out the speech you want to be delivering at each place of your visit. Now, since it is a topic, it is a national literacy mission campaign. It is basically a campaign, and it is a national literacy mission campaign, and there will be different places. So the places have not been given. So there are different places, and ultimately what is given? It is told that remember your word limit, that is 200 words. So these are the things that you will take out from the speech, questions of the speech. Now here is in the sample answer. Now I think it's very clear and you can see it very clearly that in the very beginning here, dear friend, good morning to all present here. This is the introduction. Introduction where you are introducing or you are addressing the audience, and then ultimately you are introducing yourself. You are introducing as a member of National Literacy Mission. Then now you can see that this is in this paragraph you have highlighted about your topic. The topic has been highlighted, and then ultimately even you have continued to give your ideas. The body of the speech has been written, and ultimately you have in the end thanked. So this particular portion is the introduction. This particular portion, I mean the speech can be written in 2 or 3 paragraphs. Here the example is showing it is in 2 paragraphs where you are summing up and you are writing. So these are the 2 paragraphs. These 2 paragraphs are the body of the letter of the speech, and then ultimately this is the conclusion. Thank you is the conclusion. So students, I think it must be very clear to you that what basically is a speech, since it is for 10 marks. So you have to really be very particular. What are the different components that you have to use in your speech, how you have to introduce, how you have to conclude, and how the body has to be written. Now, the very important part, which I have already talked to you with you, is regarding the brainstorming, how you will brainstorm yourself with ideas, and then ultimately with the coder, you will use the coder for writing your speech. When you are writing, all the characteristics, all the points that have been highlighted, they should be remembered by you. I hope you have understood the basic things that are required for writing a speech. So thank you. That is all for this particular presentation. Thank you.